We started something in our North America Awards last year whereby we took a piece of content that had been entered into the awards that was shortlisted and is up for an award, and we decided to discuss that content, to kind of dig into what that piece of work was like, how it worked in the industry, and how it could become an award-winning piece of work. And hopefully tonight it may well do, but it's the piece of work we're going to discuss is in a very tough category. To go through that piece of work, I've got two wonderful guests who will come upstage and join me. I think I've got a couple of microphones here and we've got the sofas, so we're all ready to go with this. They've had a few drinks, they got a bit Dutch courage. I've had a couple of sweets, so I'm now buzzing off my head, so that's very good. Drinks will come later for me, others won't make it through the rest of the stuff. So, without further ado, we are going to discuss a campaign called Amex Unsigned, and to do so, we're going to bring two legends of the industry to the stage. The first one is going to be Enyi, who is the Chief Strategy Officer at Yes, you can cheer him up. Whoa! And the second man joining him here is Dave Edwards, who's the VP of Marketing for American Express. Yes! Woo! And now, that's quite all right. And enjoy food, guys. Don't feel embarrassed. You can use your phones. You can get up and get some drinks. There's loads of food in there. It's very nice. I just had a chicken burger, which was lovely. So we're going to have a little discussion about this work. So, guys, great to have you on stage. American Express is brilliant for me personally. It pays for most of the flights for my holidays with my family on the points, which is wonderful. So thank you for that.
Welcome.
But great to have you here. I thought, unsigned program. I thought to warm us up, guys, and just to give you something to look at, here is the video, and I am going to get my clicker because I forgot that, first error of the night. There might be a few. I've got a lot of slides to click with, but let's have a look at what the campaign is, and it's in the running for Best Music Campaign in Media. Here we go. I forgot my own slides, but you don't need to know about me. You can do that later. And look at that lovely little panel shot. There we are. I do love a fancy shirt.
Being an emerging artist is, you have opened the floodgates.
Is clinging on to this dream. It is literally a shot in the dark.
Only 11 of the 34 venues that Oasis played on their very first tour are even still in business, and those smaller stages are going away.
You lose the culture, really, and sadly, it's only going to die out unless we do something about it.
Unsigned is different. We know that artists need backing, and that fundamentally is at the heart of what we do. You need a stage to perform on, you need gigs, you need experience, you need a lot of guidance, ultimately.
That they chose to put the faith into us, and they believed into us as a venue. That felt amazing.
Welcome along to American Express Unsigned.
This is for the women who know their worth, plant their feet right.
Oh, it was sick. 10 out of 10.
Unbelievable.
I still try.
We've decided that Flip the Switch is the tune.
Thank you
All right.
so much.
You're going to be playing on the main stage at all
No. What?
I would love to play BFD Hyde Park.
Being a part of Unsigned has given me so much hope.
I felt so validated.
It's a blessing, as I keep saying.
I think that's why the Unsigned thing is special.
It feels like a family, it feels like someone's got your back.
Brilliant. There we go. You can clap if you want. It's a nice video, right? Brilliant. So this gives you a flavour of what the programme was about and what the campaign was all about. So I figured we'll ask some questions. I even got some nice little cards this time. Normally I just have a little piece of paper so you can see the awards. So the Amex Unsigned programme has been lauded around the world. But what was that main driver in Amex choosing to partner and use the power of music? What was the kind of real driver for that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind taking this one and kicking us off. Hi, everyone, and hello, everyone online who can maybe see or hear us. It's really nice to be here, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about the work. And yeah, I mean, so I guess going back in time, coming out of the pandemic, it was very clear that artists were struggling and venues were struggling. And myself and a lot of the team had a lot of people that were working in the arts that were starting to feel it being really tough. So that was going on, and at the same time, you know, we're always looking at data and always understanding a bit about what our card members are into, and live music and discovering new artists is their number one passion point. Take some of that, and when we think about you know, what we're doing at Amex, there was certainly a very clear understanding that we have platforms that would be interesting to artists. So we create a lot of content. So there's syncs. We partner with festivals, and so we have stages. We get to work with lots of different media partners. So there's like exposure and mentorship opportunities. And so, yeah, and I guess bringing it all together when we were thinking about the music in our ads and things like that, we thought, well, maybe there's a chance to revisit and look at some of that stuff. And so Unsigned became this sort of platform that underpinned all of those different things, and it just felt like, yeah, for us to be able to say, hey, look, artists and what came to be venues, we can help, but send us your music, and the rest sort of is as you see on the screen.
Brilliant. Putting something together like this, we've seen a lot of brands try to team up with music, some successful, some unsuccessful. What were the biggest challenges for the brand in kind of putting this together? What obstacles were the hardest to overcome, and how did you overcome them?
Should I say that one? Yeah. I think, I mean, Dave's outlined the ambition, I guess, in terms of wanting to support emerging artists. I think we probably summarised the biggest challenges trying to find partners to go on the journey with us to do that. So again, Dave just touched on some of the key elements there around trying to find and identify emerging artists that we can work with. So we teamed up with interested media partners like NME and Mixmag to recruit those emerging artists, and the British Institute of Modern Music. So finding partners to help us identify and recruit was quite important. And then, you know, finding other like-minded partners who could help us showcase that talent. So we also worked with the Music Venues Trust to identify the Dome in North London as a potential venue that also needed some support on the back of being hit by the pandemic as well. That became the hub for a lot of the work that we did for mentoring, showcasing. And then a lot of the team in the audience here who should be deeply credited with the work, we also decided to capture the whole process and showcase that process through a documentary on Amazon Prime, not once, but twice. So I think finding those partners to help us create the platform, communicate the platform, bring the artists in, I think that would be the biggest challenge, actually, because the ambition was there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the model's pretty unique, and so there really wasn't really a playbook for how to do this kind of stuff. And what became Unsigned, you know, started out just as an idea about like, hey, artists, send us your music and we might be able to help you. But then when we got so much interest and so much music back, we were like, oh my, well, okay, well, what do we do with all of this music? Okay, well, now we need a panel. Okay, well, how do you get a panel together, right? Okay, well, now we've got a panel and we've got a short list of really great music. How do you do? Okay, well, we need a club because we need to have a showcase. How do we do a showcase? Has anyone done a showcase? No, nobody's done a showcase before, right? Okay, and it just became sort of like we were making it up as we went along.
And also, that's quite a fun thing to do. In terms of the arts, you know, so many people do get it wrong. I went to Battersea Power Station, must have been, God, I'm old, 25 years ago to watch Morrissey and a Santander gig. I mean, obviously wrong to watch Morrissey nowadays anyway, but back then it didn't quite work. So getting it right is a big thing, and you must have seen some of those artists we saw on the video going from those local venues onto the biggest stages in London effectively. How good does that feel to be helping those people as well? Because we talk a lot in the industry about purpose, and we talk about giving something back to society. There must be a great element of that within the work as well.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, on so many levels, it's incredible to And we have a community of artists now, so I think there's about 15 or 16 artists that we work with, and we spend a lot of time together to hear about their journeys. And so for them to be like, oh, you know, I got hit up by a games company and now I've got to sync with a games company, or I've been asked to go and perform here, or I've got a gig here, really helps. Or, you know, when you're giving investment for a sync, so when their music is in our ad and we give them some money for that, for them to be able to say that's given me the studio time to be able to do it. Or just the other day, one of the artists, and now we have a stage at All Points East, but that artist coming to us and saying, well, because we played at All Points East, our Spotify streams went through the roof. So yeah, really feeling that this helping the artist is really, really satisfying, for sure.
Yeah, and what's interesting is Dave just made it sound very simple. And actually, if you think about the amount of effort that's required to do all of that, and, you know, talking as the agency working with the brand, you know, one of the very biggest things I think that we do for the artists in terms of scale is American Express have allowed emerging artists to soundtrack some of the biggest TV campaigns that they've produced. I mean, just imagine that, you know, giving an artist you've never met before the opportunity as part of this program to say that you can get your music to be the soundtrack for multi-million-pound TV campaigns is an extraordinary, brave thing to do. And I think that's something else that the team are really proud of, is the amount of bravery that goes into a lot of these decisions as well. But it comes from an authentic place, which is, how do you give the artist the best possible breakthroughs, the best possible platforms and opportunities, even going as far as saying, well, they can soundtrack our advertising.
Yeah. And from that, if you put that together, that whole piece of bravery, the whole piece of having set up panels, stepping into the unknown, how do you get management buy-in on that, Dave? How do you say to your boss, I've got this crazy idea, it's going to cost X, and we're going to be doing this for about 6 months, and I'm hoping the return is this. How do you get that buy-in? Is it about being brave, or...?
It is being recorded, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, it was actually, honestly, surprisingly straightforward in a world where we're very fortunate at Amex that the brand promise is about powerful backing, right? And so what's fundamental to Unsigned is about providing that backing. So there was clearly a connection with what we were thinking about as a brand, which was very helpful. We think about data and insight, which I just mentioned. But Amex has been a very long-standing supporter of the arts for a very, very long time. And so we've got very, very, very good relationships with a lot of the arts, a lot of our arts institutions around the country. And so for us to be continuing to be supporting the arts in that way just felt like a very straightforward thing for us to do. And again, going back to authenticity and being genuine, and we talk a lot about permission, and we take that very seriously. And so, being able to authentically show up in the art space is something we take very seriously, and the partners we care about a lot. And so for us to make sure and continue to feel good about that permission is something that's at the heart of Unsigned too, because we wouldn't want it to show up in a weird way, right? Like, here we are just caring about this thing because as a brand we've cared about it for a long time.
And when you were planning all of this, Enyi, and the team were planning this, what was the toughest thing, or the decision you were making? How did you know that Dave would like what you were presenting?
I think
I never.
That's a good question. How did we know whether Dave Well, normally Dave's faces are quite a good giveaway. Right. Is that fair? Yeah, it's fair. I think, there's two answers to that question. The first is, which Dave just talked about, which is the data and insight. Amex is a very insight-driven business. So we've done a lot of work to understand that our audience's relationship with music had changed coming out of the pandemic. So whilst they still wanted to go to brilliant events and have live experiences and hang out with their friends, they also wanted to see the industry that had been so badly damaged by the pandemic supported by brands. And given Amex's long-standing association with music, of course Amex is the right brand to be doing that. So we didn't have a challenge in creating the space for we should be doing something to support new music. And then it got into a conversation around, well, then how do we do that? And we very much did that in collaboration with Dave and the Amex team and the guys from Media Brands Content Studios, who have very much been the creative driver behind a lot of this work. So we've built it in partnership. And we didn't have a playbook, to Dave's point, but we knew that we were creating something genuinely compelling, genuinely different. It was coming from the right place, and it stayed true to Amex's ethos of powerful backing. But I think the big unlock was what if we gave them the opportunity to soundtrack our ads? That took the conversation, I felt, to a whole new level.
Yeah, I mean, and he's been very gracious as well. I mean, the team at UM Media Brands has been fundamental to the success of Unsigned, and I mean that because, you know, we sat down after year one and we were like, look, we've done what we said we were going to do. We put an artist into the ad and they've done really great things, but what happens next? And so it was like, well, let's not just help one artist. How can we help as many as possible? And the guys coming to us and saying and asking that question, being like, okay, well, the best way you can help lots of artists is to help a venue, because a venue is where they perform. It's their lifeblood. So if it wasn't for that conversation, it wouldn't have been for us taking on the Dome in Tufnell Park, which is a live music venue, bringing that back from near bankruptcy at the time to bring them back into being on the promoter circuit again, based on the conversations we were having, making it up as we were going along and being brave and so on and so forth, has really helped.
That's really interesting, that whole piece of longevity and leaving something that can have a legacy and that can help and continue to help. And I suppose on that note, the way you both so passionately talk about the work, how did you, I suppose, you to start, Enyi, how did you know that this particular piece of work could be an industry award-winning piece of work? Because, you know, you've been shortlisted here, this campaign has won in other awards programs, but how did you know? When did you first know?
My face.
Yeah, Dave's face. It was. Yeah, we've got something here. I'll go back to the insights again, Jeremy, which is, you know, we're always trying to look for work and create work against two big insights. You know, does it tap into a real, genuine human insight, and does it tap into a cultural insight? And the human insight around our audiences being obsessed with new music, being much more obsessed with new music than the population as an average. That was built credibly, the ideas around that. And then obviously the cultural insight around what's going on in the music scene in the UK. I mean, the UK is the third largest music economy in the world, only behind the US and Japan, right? And yet we're not even the top 20 population size. So you can see how important music is disproportionately to us in this country. So I felt very quickly that when we created Unsigned, and because we did it authentically, it was true to the brand, it was built on a human insight, it was built on a cultural insight. Those are the ingredients for award-winning work.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that there was just a few special moments in between all of that as well, right? Like, I think that when you see the artist that you've met who was in his bedroom in Nottingham that was about to quit, seeing him on a film set, you know, it's pretty wild, you know. And when you see them on a stage at All Points East, and not just any stage, like the main stage at All Points East, and that's happened a couple of times now. Those moments, and seeing the team all together, you know, having such a great time and genuinely supporting these artists, hanging out with these artists, spending time with them, you know, there's special moments. Mike Skinner came and played our showcase, headlined, ended up, you know, doing an amazing set, and you're stood there thinking, you know, my God, like all of this has come from all of this great work. So yeah, there's been some pinch yourself things that have happened along the way too.
I love that. And so what happens next? We talked about a bit of longevity from the venues to giving the artist this backing. They obviously, hopefully, and most of the time seem to go on to wonderful things. What comes next in the program? What's the next aim? What's the next target?
Well, I think that the thing that we feel really, really great about is that as a platform now, Unsigned, we believe offers industry-leading benefits that I don't think are available anywhere else, right? In a place where you're creating national TV syncs, you're playing at mainstream festivals, you're getting mentorship from the biggest brands in music, you're being supported, you're being paid, you're being respected, and you're part of a community, and that's unique. And we have spent, now we'll be coming up to our 4th season next year, and we want to continue to celebrate that. We feel really, really passionately about what we're offering, and so we'll be going back out to the artist population, out to the world very soon to say, come and be part of our community. So I think our focus will be about building the community. It will be about honing what we offer as really, really great, meaningful, authentic benefits to these artists, continuing to support local venues and coming together as a team. And I think that is something we'll continue to do more of, and we're open to new partner opportunities, we're open to new things, and so I think it's just about hunkering down with what we've got, and we'll see where we go from there, I think.
You'll definitely see us even more around the country, I think would be fair to say. I think we've done some brilliant things in London. But Amex is a national brand. These are national issues that we're talking about. So we'll be excited to see what we do around the UK.
Okay, brilliant. I mean, we're almost there, but Dave, yeah, go.
No, I agree. It's a great point. Yeah.
I had a question to ask, just a bit of fun with the audience in terms of the artists that you've had and the ones that you've seen grow. Do you each have a favourite one? I was going to, put you on the spot. Is there one that the first time you saw, you thought amazing?
This is being recorded.
Yeah. Or is there one you
Chatham
saw
House.
and you thought they're really not going to cut it, and then they've gone on and done the biggest stages there are? And
I definitely can't choose favourites. I definitely can't choose favourites. And we have a panel who who help us shortlist the artists. So this last year we had 4,000 artists apply. And so we have a panel of people that help us to do that. I'm lucky that I'm on the panel, and so what's really, really incredible is you remember the moments when you're listening through all of the hundreds of tracks and you hear a piece of music and you're like, wow, that's amazing. And then you hear that very same song being played on the Amex Unsigned stage at All Points East, and then that very same song being played on an Amex ad. That circle is quite special. And so for the artists that we've been able to work with, and we've been able to put them into the stages and watching them perform on the stages, and some of that stuff is able to be put into syncs and TV ads. For those moments, I'm very grateful.
I won't name a favourite artist either. But I will name a favourite moment. And for me, it was... So obviously, South by Southwest was in London for the first time this year. It's a huge festival. Took over the whole of Shoreditch. And the closing night was basically a showcase of 7 or 8 unsigned artists who closed out the night. And that was an amazing thing. And I took one of my best friends from back in the day, who just also happens to have been the producer and founder of the All Saints, and he's worked with everybody. And I thought, well, you just come along and see what you think. And he came along, obviously introduced him to Dave and everyone, and he just went, this is, I think the word he used was mustard. This is mustard. He used the word mustard, and which is a big thing coming from him. And he stayed the whole night and just thought, this is absolutely brilliant. This is why I love new music and da-da-da. And just hearing that from someone who's been in the industry for as long as he has and has seen everything that he has, and to watch the artist going, you guys put together something really special here was great.
Great. There's a really wild story about how we with this community that we have, that one of the artists ended up playing at one of the team's weddings. Right? It's just that, we're all in it together. It's very special, yeah.
No, you've definitely created something that's special. The first round of judges seemed to love it. It made it onto the shortlist. Good luck for the awards ceremony.
Thank you.
Everyone, let's have a big round of applause for Enyi and Dave.